let's get started. First, we look at the options for the first player. An option to buy, I can lease Toppenish Ridge for a lifetime at $25,000 and buy a bunch of cows. The total cost of this is going to be $50,000 to put 50 cows up on Toppenish Ridge, which I don't know where it is. It's up here. It's not close to me. That doesn't actually matter. And the second is I have an option to buy, lease Rattlesnake Ridge for 15 and 30 cows. Total is $30,000. So I don't have that kind of cash for sure. $30,000, I'd have to put what 20% down. It would be $6,000. So I just don't have it. So there's not much I can do. I roll a die. You can't buy tractors or whatnot without an option to buy card. And we start with this blue player and we see how the game works. 1, 2, 3, 4. Beautiful days. Double all your hay harvests this year. This is hay for player blue, and I'll turn it that way, and I hope I remember that little mechanism. And we go to the next player, red. What does he have? Option to buy a tractor. It'll cost $10,000, but honestly, I don't want to invest in things right now. And a lease of Rattlesnake Ridge. Now, only one person can lease it. We both have the cards. We don't know that. Whoever grabs it first gets it. That option doesn't exist otherwise. I might be able to just buy the cows, though. This is the red player. 1. Pay 10% interest on banknotes in hand. Well, that sucks. That's going to cost me $500. And you can see just random shit happening, right? Why? There's no reason. For some reason or another, I got hit with interest. Well, I don't know. Feels like the game of life in terms of, like, you know, how much it comports with reality on this. Sometimes move and roll up, same thing. Let me cut off, but, well, I can do this while I'm talking. Sometimes roll and move can be done well. Events like this don't feel like they really match particularly. Why am I getting hit? I don't know, you know, shouldn't that be a time-based thing? And everybody's not on the same time, so like Monopoly, you run around. Now, is this the game? Oh, geez. Something, I don't think this is. There's some game or another where everybody gets stuck at the start space, so that everybody's on the same year time. And it would kind of make sense here, but I don't believe it is. I can't remember what game that is, though. Okay, on to the yellow player. 2. Oh, I'm not paying attention to these damn things. Well, white's got plenty of time to make their decision. Here we got $25,000 for some fruit. 20% of that would be $5,000. I have that. I could buy this. Doesn't feel like the right time to do it. This is only going to be $4,000 for additional grain. Again, I just don't feel like I have the cash for it. But I get an additional OTB. Equipment for tractor, again, I want to keep my operating costs. $5,000 is about your minimum. Lease for Cascade Ridge. And neighbor sells hay, acreage. Again, I don't think I'm going to spend anything unless I get a big pile of cash for some reason, until I made it around the board to the next Christmas. Okay, 1 for the brown player. Gets hit with that same money. Why are we playing this all out? Well, because there ain't much to the game other than rolling the dice and moving. At some point or another, I'll abstract away, but I want something to happen first, you know what I mean? Which means I'm going to burn through a lot of video doing nothing if I'm not careful. 1 more player gets hit. Sit back, but I wanted to show this because I flipped this over. So this has lease for this and buy cows, and this just says buy cows. I don't think I can do this without doing both. Again, it's not specified in the game. It would make sense if you could, but whatever. All right, we're back to blue. Nobody's going to do anything. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Start plowing late, pay 500 bucks. Now this makes more sense. You know, this is something one person screwed up, right? And it could be for lots of reasons. I don't mind this, the 10% of your bank loans. It could have to do with being leveraged in other ways that are costing you. So, you know, whatever. You can do some hand waving to make the random events work. 2 more. Cold spell. Pay 500 if you own cows. Well, luckily I do not. 3 for white. 1, 2, 3. Double all hay harvests for white. I find white. And honestly, these color forms are more of a pain than not. They stick enough to make them hard to rotate like you have to. And they don't stick enough to make the board like able to be picked up without them all falling off. Stuck in a muddy corral. Draw a farmer's fate. Okay, we get to see our first one of these. Natural disaster. Mount St. Helens blows. You are luckily out of the ash path. Your ash-free hay jumps in price. Collect 500 per hay acre. All other players have to roll to see if they escaped. Okay, so I have 10 hay acres. That gives me a bonus 5,000 bucks. All other players, odd they escape, even they're hit. So let's start with the blue player, I guess. Well, let's start with the brown player. Odd escape, even hit. Okay, he's hit. He has to pay $100 per acre for all acres to be able to clean up the mess. Now, that's brown. He has 20 acres. That's $2,000. This is a major, major schwack to be hit by this. Green. And yes, it's a very random game. Even is hit, right? And everybody's got the same acreage. Now, what's not clear on here is whether or not that's going to charge you for leased acreage. That's something to think about. I think so, because you'd need to clean it up, but you know, you got these farms all being a sort of a solid thing, and then these other things elsewhere, maybe you should roll for them separately, or they're up on ridges, maybe they can't be hit. He's safe. Gets hit. Everybody's got the same acreage at this time. That makes it easy to calculate, but it's just a massive screw right at the beginning of the game. Safe. I'm going to put this upside down underneath. Doesn't specify. Maybe the thought is that you will never run through the whole deck, but I don't have that kind of optimism. On to brown. Beautiful day, double hay harvests. We find brown. And that's going to give them as if they have 20 acres. And finally for green, stuck in a muddy corral. Well, this worked really well for the last player. Farmer's fate. Rich folk from the city bought the neighboring farm and pay you a premium for your best hay to feed their fancy show horses. Okay, here it says pay. That doesn't match what's here. I'm going to follow the instructions on the card rather than the intention. I feel like this card is misprinted, but we got to have a rule for, you know, how we're going to treat the cards, and I'm not going to try to interpret the meaning. They pay you, but it's in like phony money, and the legal bills are a problem. Let me back away a little bit. Well, yeah, this you have to land on to get, so it's the same as any other space. I'm going to pull back and see if I hit anything interesting. I got an OTB card, but let me briefly hit other people. Other people, $1,000, $2,000, and $500 lost. Remember, farming's a tough business. But this is the guy who came by a windfall. He has an extra $5,000. That's enough I could do something cool with. Now, what are my options to buy? I could buy a tractor. I would be the only person with a tractor. That might be worth it. It's sort of the cheapest of the things I can buy. And if anybody gets operating expenses where a tractor's needed, I'll get, you know, some money out of it, I guess. Other options, more grain. It wouldn't be flipped over or anything, even if some of my other stuff was flipped over. That would cost me $4,000, and I'd be taking a lot of loan out, comparatively. Or I could diversify to fruit, which would cost me another, that would cost me $5,000 down and $20,000 in loan. That feels very leveraged. I think for the ease of everything, I'm going to go with the tractor. I have to pay 20% down. I think it's worth it to have that extra cash on hand to play with in order to grow. So 20% down leaves me with $3,000, and I have taken out another $8,000 in loans. This isn't operating expenses, this is for a capital expense, so the bank is not going to be mean to me. They're like, yeah, you're a good business, right? And now these get flipped face down. This one I'm going to leave face up to remind me that I have a tractor, but I also put it on the board, and I'll jump away to do that. This guy lost 500 bucks, and this guy got the wheat problem. Unfortunately, he only has 1,500 bucks. He needs 500 bucks, but you can't take 500 bucks. So I take a $5,000 banknote. I get 4,000 of that. Of which 2 of it gets thrown away, and I'm already falling into the hole. $10,000 in debt. There's $10,000 notes. I should probably switch to that just to keep the mess down. Could I use chips for this? Well, I don't know. There's a lot of complexity with the 2 different types of money. I'll jump back away again because I'm not, well, no, I'm close to the hay harvesting. Let's see if we can do that right away. Okay, cut your hair just right, get a $1,000 bonus. So, I get 1,000 bucks straight off. I can't use my options to buy off of whatever I get here, but this is my hay. My hay is this stuff, it's doubled, and I roll a die. I get a crappy 1, so all I get is 800 bucks. Lots of luck in this game, man. And that's kind of the thing. There really just isn't that much strategy in it. Now you're guaranteed wheat and hay almost assuredly. But, well, you're almost assuredly guaranteed the wheat. You have several different hay cuttings, so you got a lot of chances at that. You have 2 fruit sections. This one you harvest on. That one's actually covered in the rules. And this one says it. It doesn't say it here, but I think it's the same thing because it's got that colored bar under it. I'll play the other people offline. Eden remembered what I have to do. I have to draw an operating expense card because I just plowed. Equipment in the shop, the delay costs, pay $1,000. So I came out pretty crappy out of my wheat harvest, my hay harvest. And I don't get to do this again, like if I hit here or whatever. So weird stuff happens here. 2 people landed here. It says double corn yield. What's corn? I think it's wheat, and I think there's somewhere in the rules where it says the equivalent. But then yellow went, hurt your back. Go back to 2nd week of January. Not clear whether or not that triggers the card, but strangely, it gives you more time when you hurt your back. I don't know what it means. It might indicate that you just lost your whole year, but you're still rolling and stuff. Again, there's not much sense to the game. I'll draw another option. I could buy a harvester too. The way money's running out, I'm not really sure I want to invest in both pieces of equipment, but we'll see what happens. Maybe I'll gain some ground in the near future. Players have dropped get an OTB for taking a day off, pay $500. I don't know. I think the big costs are largely here because so much of this is taken up by harvesting. So I'm getting around the bad part of the board, as it were, which is the problem with him going back. He's facing that whole bad board. We're back on blue. I want to highlight this because he's in an interesting area. Let's see what happens. He only gets a 1. Memorial Day, he draws an OTB, so he gets that. But he does not get a harvest, and he doesn't have to pay in operating expenses. Got a few more people close to the harvest, but yeah, let's just keep rolling. Red. Okay, I could grab an OTB. There's no harm in doing that. But the other things. First, I cut my hay. I'm red. I've got... Oh, wait a minute. This guy gets to keep his. It's for the whole year, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it's for the whole year. So those get turned back later. So this is hay, not wheat. I'll roll a die. I got 10 acres. I'm going to get 1,500 minus... I don't own a harvester, and nobody has one to sell me. So I lose $500, and I'm down to nothing. It's a rough game, man. The harshness is what I kind of like about it, I guess. White. Windstorm, pay another 500. Plus it adds to the realism. Yellow and brown, I'll come back after I do them, I guess. They're both kind of interesting. A farmer's fate came up that had no effect. It would have been bad if I had fruit. And then brown made it all the way to here. A bonus $1,000, might as well grab that. Brown has doubled hay. This is corn, but there's no way to mark it other than by both, so I don't know. 3 in hay means I get 1,000. Doubled is 2,000 more bucks. But I've got to pay. I do not own a tractor. Somebody does. Here's 2,000 bucks, buddy. That's nice. Oh, and green is coming close too. Equipment breakdown. Pay a fortune. Okay, now I want to look at blue because he's coming around. Well, so these aren't going to affect him, but a second hay cutting could. I don't know. Independence Day, he gets to party, that's all. Nobody bought fruit. So yeah, I don't think I have to worry until I get, yeah. All right. A second hay cutting. Good weather, your second cutting of hay, double hay harvest check. Sweet. So, this is hay. I'm not doubled normally. Yeah, let me use this die for it. I've only got 10 acres. I get $6,000. That's sweet. But I got expenses. Always got expenses. $2,000 if you don't own a tractor. Goes to the guy who got lucky with that tractor card. He's going to buy the harvester. I think he has to wait till his own turn to do it. It's not specified, but let's see. Yeah, it doesn't say anything. So red made money, but not that much. And we get down to white. White's hitting their first hay here. Okay, I'm going to get an OTB. No harm in drawing that. White has bonus in both. I don't know how that happened. 5. 4,400. Let's draw. Expense. Minus 500 is 3,700. That's not too bad. I'll just take. This is where chips would come in handy. The money is very thin, like Monopoly money, really. And hard to manipulate. But that puts me to white. Yellow is next. Yellow, I don't know. No, yellow wants to buy a harvester. That is another 2,000 down and another 8,000 in loans. Got another OTB card. Brown landed here, which would just affect the harvest. He doesn't have one. That puts me to green, who's coming forward. And I do kind of want to catch the die rolls with the harvests because, I mean, if not for those, what is there that's of any interest in the game? Probably there's just nothing. Another $500 bonus because I like green. Puts me back to blue. Okay, blue gets lucky, or maybe not. It's hard to tell. Hot. Wish you were in the mountains. Draw an OTB. Yeah, that's not going to hurt me. So I'll draw one. I don't know what I saw. But now I get my hay cutting. And my hay is doubled again this year. 3, so I get 2,000, but I still got to do operating expenses. This one's not bad. So I make 1,500. Some cash here. There's not much I can do with my cash except pile it up at this point. Red is coming close to the wheat harvest, which is doubled for him. Honestly, I think that was just corn, but I don't know how to differentiate. Let me take a look at the rules. When landing on a week that says double your hay or corn, each turn your... Yeah, I mean, it... Oh, okay, doubling corn is only corn, not wheat. So the fact that this is doubled does not affect this. It only affects if I happen to hit the corn harvest. And there is no double wheat harvest. But they both count as grain. Okay. This looks good. You're right on time and farming like a pro. Go to the 4th week of February, collect your year's wage of $5,000. I don't want to do that before I collect my harvest, I think. And I don't know if this is good or bad because I've just skipped all my harvests. I don't feel like I'm a pro, but whatever. So we roll. I get 2,500 minus operating expenses, which is 1,000. So I get 1,500 bucks. And now this thing takes effect, and it's going to throw me to the 4th week of February, which gets me an OTB. And I get $5,000 for my wages, and I feel like what really happened was I stopped farming and had to work harder, but got a bonus of some sort, sort of. Not really sure. That'll move me to white. I'm getting into battery problem land. Up on free. All right, I had one of those annoying recording failures, which I haven't seen in a long time. So what happened? White ended up on free parking. I don't know if I've said this before. It's in the same location on the board even. Yellow ended up somewhere where they're glad they didn't take an option to buy fruit. And red is not up. Brown. Brown hit here. Brown's going to get an extra $50 an acre. 10 times 50 is 500. I'll just grab that so that I remember it. This is my wheat, so it can't be, this is my wheat, so it can't be doubled. So I get 3,800 minus 1,000. So I get 2,800 bucks there for brown. And I gotta make change with that, so we'll skip green. Got an operating expense, which was $2,000 for a harvester. Ended up losing about 600 bucks total off of their turn. Now blue's hitting their wheat harvest. I just don't know how interesting this game can be to anyone. 1, 2, 3, 4, but you know. Storm Cloud Brewing, collect 1,000 if you have a harvester. I do not, but I still get my wheat without any penalty. It's 5,300, nice big spread on the wheat. I do not owe cows, so I get 5,300. 55. 6,000. And that's a nice payoff. And now red and yellow are kind of in weird, so I'll report on them with white going through and come back. So things were complicated across the board. Let's find yellow. All right. White hit this It's a Cooker, made a couple $1,000s, I think, and gets jumped all the way to Harvest Moon. Now, if I had cows, I would get a sales on this as well, but I got 500 bucks at least. But I skipped my wheat and third hay, which is kind of a shame. Wait, did I? Yeah, I got hit here, which kind of sucks. I mean, there's some money that I'm not getting off of it. I'm not really worried about the hay cutting. Those are kind of break-evens as far as I can see, unless you get doubled somehow. But skipping the wheat harvest is kind of painful. Maybe I can get lucky with the corn. I don't have anything else going before I hit my Christmas vacation. Everything else is just get what you get. Yellow decided to buy 10 acres of grain. That leverages him. He's up to like, I don't know, 37. Yeah, 37,000 in hock. But he has, you know, over his 5,000. I've got $8,000 in cash. The bad stuff's mainly gone. I'm hoping that this works well. Again, I'm not a big fan of the hay, although the more hay you have, the better it is, because the costs usually aren't per acre. But I gotta pay some money. It's okay, I've been getting awfully lucky. Brown is in their wheat harvest. They probably aren't going to get anything here. Collect 1,000 if you have a harvester. Okay, I think that happens no matter what. But he does not. And green is probably not coming up on anything. Celebration. As we get further and further in the game, we got to check more and more things. Early on, we knew it was only, you know, everybody had 10 hay and 10 wheat, or 10 grain. But now things are beginning to change. Guess I'll keep going with blue. Okay, this is going to cut the price. I've already collected my wheat harvest on this section, so that doesn't affect me. I'll skip for a while. Let's see. Oh, shit, I'm running out of battery again. Let's see where we got. White got their hay cutting in. I don't remember how they did. It wasn't. I think they made money, but not much. Yeah, the standard here. Yellow got their hay cutting in. They actually made, I think they lost money overall a little bit. Over here, no impact. I don't have cows. And then green, I tried to move the white piece, which would have gotten me into a wonderful harvest, because, I don't know, I'm way over there in the play order, so I figure I should be way towards the tail of things. But that's not right. What happened instead was hitting that space that got me the "You're a pro, you don't have to do any more work," and swinging around here to grab the OTB and 5,000 bucks. Right now, people have enough money to start thinking about whether or not they want to make investments. So green may actually have a fair amount. I don't know what they're sitting on. It doesn't look like a huge amount of cash. Looks like I got my 5,000 income and I have a little bit more, but not a whole lot for money. That means green, if they had any face up or turned, they would have to unrotate them. I'm finding myself having a fair amount of trouble finding who owns which farm. That's probably not going to be a problem if you're playing opposed and you're only playing one thing. You can probably remember which one's yours, but playing multiple players at once, it is kind of problematic, even if your position is kind of close to it. So that's kind of an issue. It gets worse once you start having cattle out in these places where, God, the only way you know you have them is from these cards, which is somewhat problematic. And I have to tell you, this little red road going through here just confuses matters completely to me. I don't know. If it was brown, maybe it would confuse me less, but there's a brown player too. Each color that a player is used in a printing, especially back at this time, probably cost you money. So putting something like, I don't know, a tan or something that no player actually is, and that would look close enough to either yellow or brown to confuse anyway, probably wouldn't help. Honestly, I wish that just wasn't there. Well, they're using black. I wouldn't have minded black. That probably would have been okay. But as it is with that red, it looks just like the red that the player is, and it kind of helps smear everything. I find the presentation of the board actually just relatively confusing. Overall, the components to this game are just not good, which doesn't help at all. All right. I think I need to take a break. Very shortly, I'm going to be, when these guys make their way around the Christmas vacation, I'm going to be stopping this video and sending it up, because then we've gone through a full year with kind of everyone, although some people might be through their second year already. I don't like time distortion, but it's just a silly roll and move. Who cares? Swung through the turn, and most people made some money off of this turn, either off a harvest or just lucky rolls. White did not. They would have really liked to have hit that corn harvest that they got when I accidentally rolled. I'm up to green, and green is taking an option to buy some cows, putting them here. Now that led me to an interesting question, which is, hey, does it really make sense to need a harvester with cows and such? Well, maybe, sort of, kind of. You do need to harvest hay and such not, maybe, but maybe you just buy it, or you have it on hand already. I don't know. But looking over the rules, there doesn't seem to be anything special about cows. And likewise with the fruit, you still need a tractor, which seems kind of iffy in that case. You would need a harvester, a different kind of harvester, not the kind that's pictured that chops up the wheat or the hay. Again, problematic as far as I can tell. I don't know if the cards specify anything about that. I guess I'll roll. Oh, yeah. And so this was a fairly cheap thing. It only cost a total of $5,000. I took $4 grand on a loan, just because you want that cash on hand. That's how you leverage being able to buy new stuff. That's how you really kind of leverage your whole position. The only danger is that you land on this space. I think that's the only one. There may be some farmers' fates that call you in too. It would make more sense if you had to pay the interest every Christmas, and therefore you'd want to retire your loans, but the game kind of says, hey, be in hock as much as you can. And I get another OTB, which I probably do not want to invest. I went kind of low. I, could have gone with something else, but I feel like I'm at least getting some advantage. Not as strong a position as this guy's in. I'll probably bop away for a little bit. On turns for blue, red, white managed to get their corn harvest in. Got a huge pile of cash off of it. They've actually got a $10,000 bill in here. Looks forward to being able to buy more land or whatever. Yellow, though, got a farmer's fate. That's not good. IRS garnishes your income after finding errors on your tax return. For the rest of the year, draw operating expense during harvests, but do not roll the harvest check. That really sucks. Especially with the extra, you know, well, I'm in okay shape, but mainly I'm going to be counting on my tractor and harvester to make me money as I make it through the turn. And I want to leap through the year as fast as possible. These guys I'll just roll. Push through green, I hit this space. Windstorm makes you replant corn and pay $500. Now, it doesn't matter how much corn you have. It costs the same no matter what. Even if you have no wheat fields, corn fields, whatever at all, none of the grain fields, you still have to pay this. There are some games that try to work that kind of stuff in a little better with sort of a if you have or whatever, or just an assume that. This one does not. You could build that kind of stuff in. I don't know how good it would be, how bad it could be. It really should be based on your acreage. That would cover the whole thing, but no, it's not. I have a lucky hay cutting here where they made $3,000 in base, but interest on the banknotes in hand. So there are additional things that can cause you. Luckily, I only have a $5,000 note. This guy, that could be a significant amount of cash. And that's one reason you don't want to have a bunch there. Let me roll white because we're coming close to Christmas vacation and we haven't actually rolled around it yet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So first, I get $5,000 for that. Next, I get an OTB. I'm over here at the early part of the year. I'll think about that later. Unless I have, you know, if I had a ton of money, I could consider, hey, do I have a leasing? Because the leasing, territories, you are actually competing with people, so I might want to do that on my own turn early. I don't know. With yellow, because of the special card, got a big roll, a good one that's going to let me get rid of that card and get rid of this year. Okay, but first I get my wheat harvest. I have 2 of them. It doesn't help me at all. All I get is this. I think I have to take it no matter what. 10% interest on banknotes. Oh, crappy. So that's 2 of them in a row. I think I shuffled. 25, 20, 37. So that means I owe $3,700, which is a fair chunk of change. But then I'll be getting $5,000 coming around go, and I get an OTB. For that card, this would be really shitty because I'm losing out on my corn where I have a couple of those. I lost, well, I would have gotten my wheat harvest at least, but instead I moved to there. And let's see, that gets us to brown. We might be going around the corner with brown. Bonus, I get $6,000. I landed on go. And again, I'll have options to take advantage of some of these. Do I have a lease? I could lease this, but that's $40,000. I'm probably not going to be able to do that. But I probably have enough money to increase my holdings a little bit. That puts me to green. And I'll cut off. I'm going to go around once more because I want to. Well, maybe twice because I want to get blue around the year before I cut this video. The board just once more. Blue landed on there, so we got to stop because that took a 6 to get there. Piles of cash. Let's see. Red managed to make it around the board from way back there through the I don't want to work thing or whatever. Okay, both white and brown hit this double their hay harvests before either one of them did their purchases. By the way I'm house ruling it, again, it has to be interpreted one way or another, I guess. I don't know. He bought hay, but some of his hay is not going to be in play because of that. Now, you could use that extra information if you did it the other way and said, oh, well, then I definitely want to buy hay because I know that I've got beautiful days coming ahead. Whether or not you have that, I don't know which one makes more sense. But anyway, I played it this way. So he has the equivalent of 30 acres under hay. But anything that costs for hay, he's only got 20 acres, actually. This guy bought himself some cows. Not the only person to have cows. He didn't want to do the same thing that guy was doing. But he also didn't want to play with the risk of fruit. Cows are risky too, so I don't know. I probably should have gone with the fruit, but this is so cheap at $5,000 that it felt like the safer of the choices. Yellow didn't feel like they have enough money to continue investing more deeply, and green made a little bit of money. Their operating expenses is not really there. I ate up most of it. Now, another thing that's not mentioned in the game is what you do with these blue cards. Right now, leaving them out is fine. I don't know if they get, when this gets eaten up, I don't know if they get reshuffled in or not. My feeling is they kind of have to, because there just isn't enough acreage, maybe. But I'm not positive about that. This is one of those things where I don't know if I've played enough to be able to tell you the answer of that. I've played it twice long, long ago, and now I'm like, well, I don't know. And again, it's another thing that's ambiguous in the rules. You definitely have to leave the leasing options up, because otherwise you don't know where the person is. But the rules were not clearly written. A lot of ambiguity exists in them, and you know, for a game this simple, you kind of feel like that's a shame. But as they say, it was designed on the back of his tractor, so you know, maybe he didn't get time to play test it because you can't really play the board game while you're on a tractor. I don't know. Anyway, this video is going up. Don't know how much detail we're going to go in from here on, but I want to play through it, at least to give a feel of just how painful, you know, how long it takes, whatever, and whatnot. So up it goes.